What's going on, guys? This is Kid Shorty Gaming Nation, and the title of the video says, Traditional men do not let New Age call you insecure, um, or tell you you're insecure. Why I say that is because traditional masculinity, monogamy, the Victorian age, um, everything that the men that came before us did to build nations and the building block to the civilizations or contributed to the civilization led America or the Western culture like Europe to be massively successful today, right? And I want to read a quote. This is from Will Durant, and he lived 100 years. He lived from 18 something to 1981. So, damn. This is his quote. Civilization is not inherited. It has to be learned and earned by each generation anew. If the transmission should be interrupted for 1 century, civilization would die, and we should be savages again. Remember that quote. Consider education not as painful accumulation of facts and dates and reigns, nor merely the necessary preparation of the individual to earn his keep in the world, but as a transmission more mental, moral, technical, and aesthetic heritage as fully as possible to as many as possible, for the enlargement of man's understanding, control, embellishments, and enjoyment of life. The heritage we can now more fully transmit is richer than ever before. It is richer than that of Paracelsus, for it includes all Greek flowering that followed him, richer than Leonardo, for it embraces all the French Enlightenment and the I don't know how to say that word, dissemination. If progress is, so I'm going to skip. I have to learn how to read and pronounce these words properly. So that's one of my things I'm going to do to try to improve my speech, the pronunciation of words, so that I can bring that value when I'm doing these lives, so I can be a better boss of my channel. If progress is real, despite our winning, it is not because we are born healthier, better, or wiser than infants. We are in the past. We're in the past, but because we are born into a richer heritage, born on a higher level of that pedestal, which the accumulation of knowledge and art raises as the ground in support of being. The heritage rises and the man rises in proportion as he receives it. Now, let's go. Now, oftentimes you see guys on YouTube who are into new age relationships, open relationships, non-monogamous relationships, um, sex culture, uh, things of that nature, right? That goes against the traditional moral principles that built America or Western civilization, not even just Western civilization, built up Eastern civilization with the Japanese, with the Chinese, with the Russians, with Europe, with Britain. So a lot of the traditional values that came from the Victorian, it helped to build China to be successful. It helped to build Japan to be successful. It helped to build Europe and Britain successful, make them successful. And America, Western culture, it built us successful, right? A lot of men during World War One, during World War Two, the Civil War, a lot of wars were fought. A lot of men died and bled blood for this nation to defend those traditional principles, to defend those liberties, to defend those things that make us successful today. So, for traditional men who still want to uphold those principles, who fight and die for those principles, Um, you should not allow New Age thinking or New Age men or men who decide to go against what built your house and what you believed in and gave you success and tell you that you're insecure. Now let's look up what insecurities are. What the definition of insecure is. Insecurities, uncertainty or anxiety about oneself, lack of confidence, a state of being open to danger or threat, lack of protection. All right. Let's look up the Merriam-Webster definition. Definition: a state of feeling of anxiety, fear, or self-doubt, troubled by feelings of insecurity. Deep down, he knows his swagger is just insecurity, masquerading as confidence. All right. Lack of reliable means of meeting one's basic needs, lack of dependability or certainty, lack of safety or protection. This is an example. And there's an organization now for kids to be able to speak their truth, insecurities to talk about their mental health. Now, that's what just being insecure. It's like it's anxiety or fear or self-doubt. Like you don't believe in yourself, or you're insecure about something about you. You're insecure about your height. You're insecure about your weight. You're insecure about a relationship, if you're going to be a good personal relationship, or if this person likes you or respects you, or loves you. You're insecure about meeting certain goals, which everybody has insecurities because you're humans, right? Let's look up. Let's look up some other definitions. All right. Right. So this definition right here, right? Feeling of lacking confidence and not being sure of your own abilities or of whether people like you. Sense of feeling insecure. There's a rising sense feeling of insecurity and anxiety about the future. Deep insecurity. She had developed an outgoing personality to mask her deep insecurities. Right? Right. So just because you're a traditional guy and you don't agree with new age masculinity, open relationships, you don't want to have a woman that cheats on you in your life. You don't want to date a woman that's into certain things you're not into. You don't want to allow a chick that has a certain amount of body counts in your life. Even though that's it's not a intellectual question to ask a woman, because she's not going to give you the right number. She's going to lie, right, about that. So she's not going to be honest with you about what's her body count or whatever. But there's nothing wrong with a man saying he doesn't want that type of chick. And that doesn't make you insecure, because you know how you want to run your relationship. You're confident how you want to into who you are, and you're confident in what you don't want. You're confident in your ability to lead your relationship, and you know what you don't want to your house, and you know what you do want to your house. And you know the type of woman that you find valuable, and you know the type of woman you find valuable, and you know the type of relationship you want in your life, right? So traditional men, you cannot let new age people or new age thinking shake your house or the rock that you stand on or the things you believe in. Because traditional masculinity is not something that's just a belief. It's something that you can see. Because of traditional masculinity, it has built America into the greatest civilization in the world. It's something we have went to wars with other countries for. It is something that uh, men during D-Day stormed the beaches of Normandy to fight for and die for. So it's more than just a belief or an idea. It's something that manifested itself into greatness. The houses we live in, the government we have, the the food you're able to go to the store and eat. All of that is because of patriarchal, traditional men who ran America how they see fit. You understand? So don't let New Age thinking or New Age people shift your split, because these people who are talking saying that men are insecure because he doesn't want to accept open relationships in his house. He doesn't want to accept because America's house is traditional. It's built off of tradition. So if a man who's in tradition, who's upholding those rules and those codes and those laws in America, our nation, he has a right to call out sex culture. He has a right to call out, shame other men, or call out other men who's not up to the criteria, or moving in a way that is going to disrupt the fabric of what traditionalism is, and what built America. He has a right to call those people out because, again, you're in his house that he built. And if that person doesn't like the house that's being built, that person should just. So as traditional men, you have every right to call out things in your house that's going on that you don't appreciate and don't like. And that's not race specific. That's men in general who believe in traditional masculinity, who believe in traditionalism. Because at one point in time, the black culture, they were about the nuclear family. They were about traditional masculinity. They're about those things, right? So I want to go into something. Cuckoldry. Cuckoldry. The practice of making cuckolds, the state of being a cuckold. I'm not going to read cuckold from Wikipedia because they can change and update the fucking definition, right? All right. So I guess this is going into the idea that evolution encourages women to engage in. I don't know how to say this word. I don't know why. The scope of E.G.'s vision is an astounding personal, even as the stories grow. Oh no, I'm not going to read that. So hold on, let me see something. Get a better thing. Here we go. More about cuckoldry. Let's see. Let's go up here and start first. World history and origins. Examples: cuckoldry and rage certainly more than many of his finest works from what is it? Oh, that's the sentence. My bad. More about cuckoldry. What does cuckoldry mean? Cuckold is an insulting term for a husband whose spouse has had a sexual affair. Cuckoldry can mean one of two things: the act of making man a cuckold by having an affair with his spouse, or the state of being a cuckold. Cuckold and cuckoldry are applied only to men. Both terms are intended to be insulting and shameful to the man they are applied to. Cuckoldry is sometimes also used to describe behaviors of animals, which is perhaps the only way it or cuckold can be used that's not offensive. Where does cuckoldry come from? Cuckold is a very old word. There are records of its use from the 1200s. It is derived from the Middle English cookwell, Anglo-French cuckold, which are based on names of cuckoo bird. Cuckold originally meant an adulterer, reference to the cuckoo's practice of laying its eggs in other birds. Damn, so that's where it came from. First recorded in the English language in the 1500s. It's formed with a suffix indicating a condition. By definition, cuckoldry always involves in marriage, as opposed to cheating or infidelity outside of marriage. And the state of cuckoldry is only applied to men. Cuckoldry implies that the husband was unable to his spouse. Wife for much, traditionally his wife. For much of its history, the word was associated with shakoko. With what? Shakoko is an insulting term for a husband that has sexual. Cuckoldry can mean things: the act of making cuckold by having an affair with his spouse, or cuckold or cuckoldry are applied only to men. Both terms are intended to be insulting to the man. They are applied to cuckoldry is sometimes also used to describe behaviors of animals, which perhaps the only way it or cuckold can be used. That's not offensive to me. Offensive. Me with cuckold being treated as a subject of ridicule. This team found is. No, I'm not going to read the rest of that. No. You have a lot of guys on YouTube now, right? That they get offended if they're in an open relationship and they allow their wife to have sex with other people outside of him or outside of them, and they get called a cuck. They get offended by that. Now, technically, an open relationship is an open relationship where you're in a non-monogamous or really a non-monogamous relationship where you sleep with other people. The guy is open and the woman is open, but you're in a relationship with each other. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's not a normal relationship in American society or Western culture because Western culture was cultivated off of traditional principles and monogamy. So, of course, something like that, right, is going to go against the societal norms. The thing is that societal norms um, is what built America. Again, it's what made America great. See what I'm saying? It is what uh, it is what made us civilized, and it took us away from being savage. Now, people were saying that monogamy is not natural. And really, truly, in nature, even amongst the animals, it's more polygamous or polygyny. Like you see, um, lions in the savannah, where one male lion have a harem of female lionesses, or a hyena clan, right? Hyena is a matriarchal clan where they get to mate with a lot of the and stuff. Or cats, for example. Cats is a perfect example. Who are very solitary. You'll have several cats breeding in one female cat. You know what I'm saying? The difference between human beings and animals is that I'm a human being and that's an animal. So just because the beast or the foal or the fowl in the grass is doing something, I, the human who's more evolved person, shouldn't be doing it. Right? Go look up. Let's go look up monogamy. Monogamy does exist in nature, as of course do females who seek out multiple partners, but nature does seem to push things in the direction of polygyny or branch of the evolutionary tree. Among mammals, just 9% of species are monogamous. Among primates, just 29% are. People like to just fling around shit talking about, monogamy is not natural and polygamy is natural. All right. Now we don't even know that because you could be going to Africa or something, and you could be asking, you could be a foreign European, and you could be asking, those Africans could have told you anything. They could have lied to you. See what I'm saying? Let's read this. That's my cat meowing, getting on my nerves. Last week, a tabloid newspaper accused prominent politician of a series of extramarital affairs. It may have not been true, but did it? What? Oh. I'm not going to read all that. For sexually reproducing importance can be traced to a single fact. Sperm are far more plentiful than eggs. A male can father almost unlimited number of children, enough females to participate. By contrast, can max out her reproductive capacity even with a single lifelong partner. By itself, this polygyny. A form of polygamy in which males but not females are allowed multiple partners. Monogamy does exist in nature. to females who seek out multiple partners. But nature does seem to push things in the direction of polygyny on our branch on the evolutionary tree. Now let me explain that, right? Um, that is true because life, the seeds of life, and women, when they get pregnant, it takes them 9 months to give birth. And after that 9 months for them to give birth, they have to period, right? And if you're a male, nature needs you to repopulate the earth. You're gonna now find 10, 4. You're now gonna find 2 or 3 more female women to now breed with. Now the thing is with the men, because of the Coolidge effect, where I guess it's nature's way of balancing, so he doesn't go overboard with his breeding capabilities. Is something like Coolidge effect is something like, let me look that. I'm gonna look that up. But the Coolidge effect is something where let me look it up. Coolidge effect. Oh shit, Coolidge effect syndrome. Let's see. Oh shit, the Coolidge effect actually if another female is introduced, ooh, I'm not going to go into that today. I might go into that a little bit later, but it's actually the opposite of what I'm saying, so my bad. But as you know, when a man has sex, extremely tired. Even if a girl is introduced, he's still going to be tired. It takes to rebuild the sperm and the semen after he lost it, right? But still, he can impregnate 2 or 3 women in that one setting, and those 2 or 3 women have 9 months to give birth. As I say, sperm are far more plentiful than eggs. That I did not know, right? So there's a lot of so this is something I'm learning right now. So there's a lot of things about men that we don't know about, right? Graph does make sense that in nature, because we need to increase population, it would make sense that the men, or we not be in a more monogamous setting. The thing is, the drawback to that now is overpopulation, right? You can't have too many humans with resources. See what I'm saying? So no. The thing is, today we could do polygyny. We could do polygamy because today you have modern medicine that you know where you can wear condoms, you can take birth control, um, you can take protect yourself from catching an STD, right? Even though I don't think there was any. Well, I'm going to look the old stuff up too. So in the Victorian, I think why monogamy was created is because a was to keep the population down. It's so that one finds a wife, he has children with that, and they're born, they have children with that wife, and it's a more structured thing than it be a polygamous thing where now you're just breeding all over the place. One guy with 10 women, those 10 women with 2 dudes, with their whatever side husband they have, right? So let's further read into this. What's interesting and frustrating for those looking for clean answers is that these categories aren't as exclusive as they seem. Religious human societies are only preferential. Preferential? Preferential. Damn, I can't read that. Son of a bitch. Many men still acquire only one life, and bears rights that such pairings were probably common throughout human history. Monogamous societies, of course, always had their share of philandering and serial monogamy too, and there may have been a significant shift from polygyny toward monogamy beginning about 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, judging by genetic evidence. Some kingdom warlords aside, ours is a case of moderate polygyny. We're not elephant seals. We're not seals, whose terms often number up to 40. That is very much with us. Though, and not just in the contemporary societies that allow men to have multiple wives, it seems to be built into our very bodies. Species with the strongest polygyny inclinations, those whose males build the biggest harms, also tend to have the most exaggerated sexual dimorphism. There is a violent high stakes competition for females within those species. So males evolve to be bigger, stronger, more aggressive. Indeed, human males are moderately taller, heavier, and more muscular than females. And it's the males who commit the overwhelming majority of human violence. Polygamous roots are further evident in our sexual among polygamous species reach puberty later than females because in such a violent sexual market, it is unwise to begin competing before one is big and strong enough. Again, this is exactly what we see in humans. But what about men? Again, polyandry is usually rare as a mating system. Importantly, though, polyandry can exist in some form even when it's not socially recognized. In humans, there are numerous other species. Females who are officially tied to one partner may have others in secret. The secrecy being necessary to prevent not only social sanctions, but also violence on the part of the males. So that's the same now. If that's like today, right? Like if you find out that the chick you're dating or you're in a relationship with has say she has a roster. What Cass and the Gen generation did, if he was found a good chick and they found out that she was having a roster, they would stop dating you. So that's basically what that's like. There are advantages to this behavior, even though as noted above, it won't necessarily increase the number of children or female bears. Oh, let me see what the rest. And he was in humans and numerous other species, females who are officially tied may have others in secret. Being necessary to prevent not only social sanctions but also violence and abandonment on the part of males. There are numerous advantages to this behavior, even though, as noted above, it won't necessarily increase the number of children female bears. Through adultery, a female might get more resources or higher quality genes than other partner can provide. For example, polygynous plus or form of polyandry that adds up to polygyny, right? Probably one. Well, no, he was probably didn't evolve in this sort of peaceful style, sexual free for all. Imagine in sex at dawn, promiscuous species like bonobos. I don't know what that is. And the much more. Also, those are monkeys. Also, let me read this law. Well, no, he would probably didn't evolve. Well, no, probably didn't evolve in the sort of peaceful bamboo style sexual. Or imagine in sex at dawn, promiscuous species or bamboos engage in sperm competition because multiple males frequently mate with the same fertile female. Thus, they evolve toward that with large testicles and not. Damn, I cannot pronounce these words today. Designed to remove rival males. See, and sperm cells designed to do what competitors inside the female body. Damn. Humans may have some of these traits. For example, an intriguing theory about the shape of a male appendage. And we are closely related to both bamboo and chimps, as argued in Sex at Dawn and conceded in Out of Eden. We simply don't have these features to anything like the degree those relatives of ours do. competition, the evidence is more consistent with the covert polarity described above than with the promiscuity of sex at all. So this article is basically saying if monogamy is unnatural or if it's natural, right? Um, Now, as you notice, amongst the primates, that's a very violent thing. You can see that where the cats over will fight over the one female cat. You know what I'm saying? Let's see this. If monogamy is natural, why is it so hard? Before we talk about monogamy is natural for humans, there are two things you need to understand in humans. For an organism to be evolution, don't always make the organism happy. The traits that evolve in a population are the ones that are best at getting genes passed on to the next population. That make the body of those genes. Whatever traits gets genes into the generation wins. The success of selfish genes not only comes at a cost to others, but is not uncommonly gained at the expense of health of that body, in which those very genes currently reside. The evolutionary goals of males and females in any species are opposed to each other in almost every species. This results in something called sexual conflict. Basically, the problem is this: females have a fixed amount of eggs, so they want to ensure that the reality. So their goal is to spread it as far and wide as possible. The best policy for such a living organism will often be the one thing if it is a man, if it is male. A different thing if it is female. Those two facts seem to lead to a lot of unpleasant evolutionary traits that are good for the genes, but are bad for the bodies that house genes. Female fish are much larger than male anglerfish when they mate. Fish fusses with the female body, fuses with the female body, become little set of testes attached to the female. Many female spiders bite the head off males while mating. It's thought to assign emotions to non-human species because we have no reason to believe that they have feelings like humans do. And if they did, I'll bet their feelings are that they don't want to get decapitated by their lover. Dying after mating does not make it. As we talk about human evolution, we need to keep in mind that what is not always what makes them happiest, right? So, just because monogamy is a natural doesn't mean, or polygamy or polygyny is more natural, doesn't mean it will make them happiest. Because what's good for the cat or the lion or the hyena or the elephant or the fish, those are animals. We're humans. Yes, but in the case of humans, it doesn't mean sexual desire that is limited to one person. Humans evolved to be socially monogamous, meaning that we chose a partner with which we pair bond while retaining the desire for other sexual partners. But here's the rub. We evolved to desire sexual partners while keeping our bonded partner from having other sexual partners at the same time. We want to cooperate with other sexual partners, but at the same time feel intense jealousy and possessiveness over our bonded partner. Essentially, humans evolved to be cheaters. The monogamous animal is one that spends most of his time with one mate, but is not entirely faithful. Points out Insa. Oh, Insa. Oh shit, that sounds like Insa. Most monogamous animals will, on occasion, mate with a stranger, he says. Humans aren't the only creatures that evolved this way. Tai monkeys sleep with their tails curled together with their pair bonded partner. Except that they evolved to do this to keep their partner away from us, not because they're in love. Breaking it down. Why are we monogamous? We evolved to be socialists because human babies are particularly helpless. They require two humans or more dedicated to raising them. Due to their high caloric needs and the fact that they need to be carried in the arms of the mother and nursed for a very long time. But pair bonding evolved in humans for other reasons. Two pair bonding made male competition for mates a much less violent affair. So let's say that again. Well, pair bonding evolved in humans for other reasons. Two, pair bonding made male competition for mates a much less violent affair. Most primates exist in small groups led by males due to male conflict. Monogamous pair bonding allowed ancient human males to coexist peacefully. The families of pair bonding partners come together as band. The group working together was able to gather many resources than just two individual humans traveling together. So, in other words, a baby shower, right? The families of the pair bonding partners come together as a band. The group working together was able to gather many more resources than just two individual humans traveling together. Polygyny of one man has bonded female partners as most of the benefit of monogamy. But since majority of males are getting a majority of females in the system, it leads to increased male-male conflict. In addition, each female gets a small slice of male time and resources, leading to female-female conflict. This is probably contributed to females leaving the male harem to find an individual male who would stay dedicated to her. This goes on a lot in modern day society, believe it or not, where you have a guy that's a ladies' man or a player, and he'll be dealing with multiple women. This one of the women will get jealous of the alpha, and she'll find a beta that's going to be dedicated to her. This happens a lot in modern day society, believe it or not. But as it says, the polygyny thing, and we see that too. It leads to increased male-male conflict and leading to female-female conflict. So even though y'all can say that polygyny is the most natural thing, the natural way of going, right? Doesn't mean it was what was best for human development, right? But why do we have trouble with it? At the same time, individual humans were still under evolutionary pressure to find the best mate, the one that will produce the best offspring, and when sexual candidates pair off into monogamy, the best mates can become unavailable. The way this plays out for males and females is slightly different. For females, the best thing to do is get a worse male bonded and committed. I meet or other resources to stay off to make sure the better male is actually father of her offspring. This also happens a lot too. I think the Angry Man talks about this in his book. These additional males also provide gifts and resources like the primary male, providing the female survival. So this like that paragraph, it goes on a lot today in society. Oh, so people report being turned on by sexual novelty. This is for men, of course, the goal is to simply to sleep with many of the females as possible, taken or not. Many people report being turned on by sexual novelty. This is called the Coolidge effect. I don't know how to say that word, based on a fictional story about President Coolidge. Predictably, it is stronger in a few women, but still present in women. Perhaps this is why. Some monogamous partners among primitive humans were lifelong, but it's just as likely that they were monogamous, i.e., switching partners after each breeding pair. About 4 years for a primitive human child to reach maturity. So, in addition to keeping an eye out for additional sexual partners, males and females also kept an eye out for the next bonded partner. Ooh. Ooh. That this is the single mother thing, the single mother and the baby daddy thing. So this actually exists in our society today. And truth be told, This is what's called the disruption in our civilization today. A lot of baby mamas who are sleeping with dudes, getting pregnant by that dude, break up with that dude because you don't like him. Now the government has to pay, forces him to pay child support. She get child care from the government. You know what I'm saying? So this paragraph right here is what's going on. This happened with primitives. What this means, now let's read further read. What this means is that no one can moralize about what the right way for humans to be is. No one can stand on the pedestal and say polygamy is the natural way to be, or humans are meant to be monogamous. The natural, the one we evolved for, is in a best scenario a string of multi-year relationships with children scattered behind you. Like, I don't know how to say that word. The worst case scenario is chronicle betrayal. This presents a problem for modern humans. We don't want to be cheaters. Those of us who want to make monogamous commitments want to keep those commitments happening. Those of us who want to be non-monogamous or polygamous want to do so in a way that causes everyone evolve not pain. But our evolutionary history drives us to be cheaters, giving us the mutually incompatible feeling of jealousy and possessiveness in a relationship, but also driving us to feed in by monogamy. This is compounded by the fact that the pressures that selected for abandonment and betrayal aren't even present in the West anymore. The primary reason people in the West have sex isn't to reproduce, but to bond with other people or enjoy the physical of sexuality. The instinctual pressure on men to notch their belt and women to rope a man in, or whatever that word is, in a society with mass-produced birth control. That, as I said earlier, the reason why we can have so much sex today is because of birth control. Is because of condoms and contraceptives, which is great, but now the men don't have to be tied down to monogamy, because without birth control contraceptives, getting pregnant, and in the traditional society, you have to be responsible for that woman and that child as the head of your house. Well, because of contraceptives, the men don't have a reason to do that. We could just have pleasure and you know what I'm saying, get your notch in your belt, and et cetera, et cetera. Now that DNA testing is there, if that woman died and got pregnant by somebody else, the guy who she was in a monogamous relationship with, he can leave her, right? And the other guy, he can also leave her. You know what I'm saying? So now she's a single mother, 2 or 3 kids, rely on, and now the government has to pay for her, unless now she puts one of the guys on child support, if they can get him to put him on child support, depending on the jurisdiction of the law, right? What's more, we don't have the same fixation with passing on genes that wild animals or primitive humans do. People in the West don't make passing on the genes a priority. Humans often choose not to have children or to foster or adopt children that don't share the genes at all. Like so many other things, we find ourselves in a modern world with pressures and goals our instincts just aren't prepared for. What we need to do is, instead of appealing to what's natural, we need to decide what's best. So, uh, this right here. This is important. The first thing to do, I think, is to accept whatever we choose. There's going to be a trade-off. If we choose to be monogamous, we are choosing to deal with the pangs of sexual urges, love, and fear. If we choose to be serial monogamous, we are choosing to deal with the fact that we are always going to be going to be managing a train of people who come in and out of our lives. If we choose to be polygamy, we are going to deal with jealousy, and if we choose to be single, we're going to deal with loneliness. All right, so I'm not going to read the rest of this. Basically, whether you choose to be monogamous or polygamous, both of them are natural. And it's all down to a choice. You know what I'm saying? So if America chooses to be in a monogamous traditional situation, or if some nation in Africa chooses to be a polygamous society, it's really just a choice on how a society chooses to operate. Now, with America, for example, we've had more success with monogamy, right? So monogamy may have not been we now know it's natural in nature, but it's something that we had to evolve in. Like as you read in the article, during polygyny, it caused violence amongst women and the men, competing over one guy, or the men competing over the women, even amongst nature and primates. And as I said, we got to do what's best for our bodies. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good for us. You know what I'm saying? So, I want to look at something else. Now, where we at today is why a lot of civilizations fell. This is something else. Let me look. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I would like to talk about the Roman hip. Can't look at it from that. Let's look at this. Sexual morality destroys nation. I quote, as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them in a similar manner to these have given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone after strange flesh, as set forth as an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Part of this, no society can long endure a loose view of sex, just proven historical fact. Edward Gibbon, in his book, The Rise and Fall of Rome Empire, listed the causes of the fall of Rome in order of their importance. Number one, the list was sexual immorality. In fact, it led to the downfall of Greece, Egypt, and Babylon. It may well be a sin that destroys America. Immorality causes us to sin against society. We can put it down. People who treat sex lightly treat other human beings lightly also. Immorality is the enemy of home, and the enemy of home is the enemy of the nation. Faith that doesn't begin at home rarely gets a chance to begin. I'm concerned that in America we see the existence of God-centered Christian home, the nuclear family as an institution quickly disappearing. None of us lives to ourselves, and none of us die unto ourselves. The Bible teaches you are the temple of the living God. God. 2 Corinthians 6, verse 16. And if anyone defiles the temple of God, God will destroy him, for the temple of God is holy. Which temple are you? Corinthians 1 Corinthians 3, verse 17. When a member of a church lives in sexual immorality, he sins against the body of Christ. The Bible says, how should this happen? God forbid. It should cause us to fall on our faces and weep before Almighty God. Practice this. We need to both teach our children and warn them this clear, plain, and for their well-being. Demonstrate and modeling before. Okay, so this is not, but that's an interesting thing that I said there. Why I say that? Because that's where America is moving along to. With this new age open relationship, this new age non-monogamous stuff. None of those things, non-monogamy Well, it's natural in nature, but so is monogamy. So both those things are natural. Monogamy, non-monogamy, polygamy, all of those things are natural. It's all up to a choice, right? And just because a thing is not natural doesn't mean it cannot benefit you or be good. And just because it's natural for your body it doesn't mean it's good for you, right? Uh, let's see. Let's go here. I'm not going to take this long, uh, uh, but I'm just getting really tired of people on the internet, new age guys telling traditional guys that you're insecure about yourself because you don't agree with their new age ideology. Right. So let's go here. The civilization of ancient Rome spanned over 1,000 years, from the founding of the Republic to the fall of the empire in the West. Obviously, we're Western civilization and Western culture about to fall now. That's a long time in sexual morality compared to the Moors of the UK today, with those of 1015. The idea that Rome is an extremely promiscuous and less I don't know how to say the word society is in reality, if nothing else, a massive oversimplification of a complex picture. It's a simplification that has like artists, often unable to portray their own times as generally sexual. But every medium, from oils to digital video, there may be an element of religious propaganda to this image of Rome too. The Catholic Church took hold in the last centuries of the empire. It was a church interest to portray the pre-Christian pagan Roman world as one of the out-of-control desires, orgies, epidemic, rape that they had brought under control. The Romans did have an abiding set of moral guidelines called mos morem, the way of the a largely set and unwritten code of good conduct. These customs sexual excesses outside the bounds of ideal behavior, defined by virtues, an ideal state of masculinity that includes self-control. Women too were expected to be chaste. The red laws also included sexual offenses, including rape, which could carry a death sentence. Prostitutes and sometimes entertainers and actors were not given this legal protection. The rape of a slave would only be considered a crime of property damage against the slave owners. Marriage itself, in reality, a lopsided affair. People married were expected to attain from it. They simply wedded in order to abide by a moral code and procreate. Damn, that sucks. That could create a problem in a marriage right there. I ain't gonna lie. Moreover, the substance servant wife was expected to turn a blind eye to her husband's sexual infidelity. Males were allowed to sleep around as much as they liked, so long as their mistress were unmarried. Or if they were with a boy, he was over a certain age. Dude, this is why the Roman Empire fell right here. Because I disagree with this. All right, if you're a wife this time, even though you're in a subservient role, that doesn't mean you have to be agreeable to a husband. Like I could see the issues with this. You know what I'm saying? Males were allowed to sleep around as much as they like, so long as their mistress were unmarried. Now I doubt they had STD medication back then, and they were sleeping with boys too. That, that's slowly what America has become today. Right? This is why traditional men have a right to say and call a lot of this garbage out. That's why the men have a right to say, yo, we don't agree with that open relationship or monogamous bullshit or whatever y'all want to call it. Because that is going to lead to our society to destruction eventually. Prostitutes and dancing girls were also considered to be fair game, as were older males, but the condition that he was to be submissive. Being passive was considered women's work. Men who submitted were considered deficient in vir and in virtus. They were denounced and revealed as effeminate. Dude, example of this moral code was seen with Julius Caesar's long and public confinement of Cleopatra. Due to the fact that Cleopatra was not a Roman citizen. Caesar's actions were not considered adulterous. Dude. So as long as he was not with a Roman citizen, he was an adulterer. A matter of license, the Romans were in many ways more sexually liberated than we were. There was a strong sexual element in much of Roman religion, making them independent of male control. But other religious ceremonies celebrated prostitution. Moreover, divorce and other such legal proceedings were easy for women to undertake as men. In this sense, women were in many cases more sexually liberated than they are in many nations to this day. Dude, it sounds like America is beating that. Homosexuality was also considered unremarkable, certainly among young men. In fact, there were no Latin words to differentiate between same-sex and sex. Children were protected from sexual activity, but only if they were free-born Roman citizens. Dude. Bruh. This is what that sounds like what something like they're trying to do today with the LGBT. America is slowly becoming into the Roman Empire with all this non-monogamous, open relationship, new age type of mentality, as it goes back to this brother right here. Civilization is not inherited. It has to be learned and earned by each generation anew. If the transmission should be interrupted for 1 century, civilization will damages again. So if America civilization was built generation on top of generation off of monogamous relationship, this new age thinking of open and non-monogamy and sex culture and all the hookup culture going on, will be the disruption of civilization. Right? Because even though you have contraceptives, even though you have condoms, you can still catch herpes. You can still catch other stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So just because the small minority of guys who are new age want to engage in that kind of activity doesn't mean the majority of men are insecure because they want to be traditional. And men who speak like that sound like the women. Just say you disagree with somebody else while calling them insecure. Because as I pointed out, insecurity is the lack of confidence and not being sure of your own abilities like you. When it comes to how I want to live my life, I'm not insecure because I'm into a non-monogamous relationship. Just not. If that's what you want to be, but that's not my life. How I want to live my life. All right. So, with that said, this is Kishari Gamer Nation. I decided to make this short little video. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, and y'all have a good night.